Hello and welcome to this Premier League season preview and predictions video for the upcoming 2021-2022 Premier League season. So in this video, I'm going to run through each individual club, give a little rundown of the transfers they've made so far in this transfer window as of the 8th of August, which is when I'm recording the video. So anything that happens after that, obviously I'm not going to know. And I'll also give you my prediction on where I'm going to think they're going to finish in league table. We're going to go from 20th up to 1st. So by the end of the video, we'll have my full predicted league table. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. But without any further ado, let's kick things off with number 20. So in 20th, I think it is going to be newly promoted Brentford. They had a season to remember last year, winning the playoffs after finishing third in the Championship, and they confirmed their return to the top tier of English football for the first time in 74 years. But I think it's only going to be a flying visit for the West London club this time around. They have strengthened their defence with the signing of 23-year-old Norwegian centre-back Christopher Ajer for £14 million from Celtic, and their midfield with the £9 million signing of Frank Onyeka from FC Midtjylland, with Henrik Dalsgaard heading the other direction on free transfer. And there are rumours that Brentford are looking at Hamburg right-back Joshua Wagnerman as a replacement for Dalsgaard, but I'm not sure that Wagnerman is the Premier League standard of player that they need just yet. They're also apparently close to signing left-winger Johan Wissa from FC Lorient and defensive midfielder Jens Kajust from FC Midtjylland, but I feel like this is just a repeat of what so many other newly promoted teams have done in the past, where they go and sign loads of players who've got no experience of playing in England, no experience of playing in the Premier League, and they just struggle for the whole season. But provided Ivan Toney stays fit, goals shouldn't be too much of a problem for Brentford. With Toney getting 33 goals in the Championship last season, I imagine he should be able to make it comfortably to double figures in the Premier League this season, but their difficulties are more likely to come from their defence. In 19th, I've got Norwich City, yet another of the promoted teams. I think last season's Championship winners are going to add another drop to their yo-yoing of the past few seasons, but I do think it will go down to the wire between the teams that I've got from 15th down to 19th. So we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is of course the departure of star player Emiliano Buendia to Aston Villa for around £36 million. He was the main creative outlet last season, bagging 15 goals and 17 assists, so he'll be greatly missed for Norwich, but they've been quite busy in the transfer market already. They've extended the loan of Billy Gilmore for another season from Chelsea and signed another 5 players on permanent deals. Milo Ratschika looks a decent purchase for just about £10 million from relegated German side Werder Bremen. The Kosovan managed to get 3 goals and 5 assists last season from right wing, despite the failures of the team as a whole. Daniel Farke signed both centre-back Ben Gibson and left-back Dimitrios Giannoulis to permanent deals for a total of £14 million from Burnley and PAOK Salonika, after they both impressed in their loan spells at Carrow Road last season. Pierre-Lise Melu has been brought in from Nice for £5.5 million and should bring a bit of stability to their midfield. And they've also brought in Angus Gunn for £5 million from Southampton. It doesn't look like the business is over just yet either. They've apparently opened talks with Bournemouth over signing midfielder Philip Billing. They've reached an agreement over signing attacker Christos Solis from PAOK Thessaloniki, and a rumour to be close to signing American striker Josh Sargent from Werder Bremen. So lots of signings coming into Norwich, but I think that could be an issue. Lots of new players, going to take time to gel, and they don't have time when they're not expected to do well anyway, and then they're just getting loads of new players in. Another area of concern for Norwich could be the interest that Aston Villa are showing in getting Todd Cantwell as a replacement for the recently departed Jack Grealish. Cantwell's 6 goals and 7 assists last season were very important, and he's shown a couple of seasons ago that he's more than capable of repeating that at a higher level in the Premier League. Norwich's hopes, I think, will look somewhat bleaker if Cantwell does leave. In 18th, and this could be a shock to some, but I think Burnley are going to be relegated this season. I think time's up for them. They were last year's worst performing team not to be relegated in the Premier League. They picked up just 2 wins out of the last 9 league matches of last season, and I don't think it's getting any better in this new season. They've stayed in the league for quite a while now. They've finished. I was looking at their league positions, and they finished well, and then dropped into a sort of relegation battle, and then finished well the next season, and then into a relegation battle. This season is the season where I think that's going to stop. Obviously, they finished 17th. Last time out. I think they're going to go one worse and get relegated to the Championship this time out. They've not done much transfer business yet either, which is another worrying sign. They've signed centre-back Nathan Collins for £12.5 million from Stoke City. Jacob Badeo is signed on a free transfer from Scunthorpe, and Wayne Hennessy is also signed on a free from Crystal Palace. And they don't look like they're going to strengthen much further either. They have been linked to former wonder kid who many of you who've played Football Manager about 5 to 8 years ago will remember, Will Hughes from Watford, after he refused a new contract at Vicarage Road. But they're going to have competition from Crystal Palace for his signature, and I'm not too sure that the Burnley chairman's going to open his checkbook to spend some more. There was also some talk earlier this summer of Dwight McNeil possibly leaving Turf Moor for Everton or Aston Villa, but that seems to have waned for the moment. If McNeil stays, I think Burnley have got more of a chance, but without any significant investment, I can't see how they're going to do anything but perform slightly worse than last season. In 17th place, one place outside the relegation zone, I've got Newcastle. So after a decent 12th place finish last season, you might have thought that Steve Bruce would be given a little bit of money to spend, but it doesn't seem to be happening, at least as things stand. And because of that, I think it's going to be a season of struggle for the Magpies, with them just about staying safe just in the end. As I said, they've not made any signings so far this summer, but on the plus side, they've not had any major departures either. Only Christian Atsu and Andy Carroll leaving on free transfers, and of course Joe Willock's loan deal coming to an end as well. I don't think Atsu and Carroll are going to be missed too much by the Newcastle supporters. They have, however, been linked to plenty of players, mainly central and defensive midfielders. So French defensive midfielder Boubacar Kamara has been the source of some interest from Steve Bruce, with Marseille expected to accept any offers of around the £15 million mark, but there's not been any bid made so far. There's also rumours of an interest in Newcastle taking Joe Willock back on another season-long loan deal from Arsenal after he impressed so much last season. Hamza Chowdhury of Leicester has also been mentioned about a possible loan deal to Newcastle. Obviously, my prediction is based on the squads at the time of recording and any major, almost confirmed rumours that are around at the time of recording. So if Newcastle do manage to get some of these signings through, I think they'll probably do a bit better than 17th. But I'm locking in 17th as my official prediction. In 16th, I've got the third and final newly promoted team, Watford. They're next in the table. I think they're going to have enough about them to stay up this year. They've made some clever signings and should be okay. Central midfielder Imran Louza has been brought in for £9 million from Nantes and looks like a good goal-scoring midfield option, having scored 7 and assisted 3 in last season's Ligue 1 campaign. The next signing, though, this one's a bit of an odd one. So Emmanuel Dennis has been signed for £3.6 million. He's only scored 2 goals in his last 23 games for his past 2 clubs, Club Brugge and FC Köln. And also, from what I've read, has a major attitude problem. Apparently, he once refused to board a team bus because someone else was sat in his seat. I'm not sure what upside this signing's bringing. He's not bringing goals, which is what you would expect from a striker, and he's not bringing a good attitude to the team. The only benefit I can see is that he cost 3 and a bit million, which is pennies to these Premier League clubs. Watford's main transfer dealings this window have been in the free transfer market, bringing in England international left-back Danny Rose, as well as strikers Ashley Fletcher and Josh King from Middlesbrough and Everton respectively. Add this to the loan signings of defensive midfielder Peter Etebo from Stoke and veteran Slovakian central midfielder Juraj Kuka, and they should be well set for safety. In 15th, we've got Crystal Palace. It's all change at Palace, with Roy Hodgson calling it a day at the end of last season and being replaced with part of Arsenal's Invincibles team, Patrick Vieira. But I don't think Vieira is going to find immediate success at Selhurst Park. In a sign that he wants to build his own team, Palace have seen 6 players who played some part in last season leave on free transfers. Andros Townsend has gone to Everton on a free after 5 seasons. Patrick Van Aanholt's left for Galatasaray. Mamadou Sakho's gone to Montpellier. James McCarthy has left for Celtic. And Gary Cahill and Scott Dan have both been released on a free. Vieira's headline signing so far is that of 21-year-old centre-back Mark Guehi, who's been brought across London for £21 million from Chelsea. The England under-21 international spent the last 2 seasons on loan at Swansea in the Championship, but he's clearly made an impression on the new Eagles manager despite not having any Premier League experience. Palace's defence has been strengthened further with the signing of 25-year-old Danish international Joachim Andersen from Lyon. He spent last season in the Premier League on loan at relegated Fulham, and he's got Champions League experience from his time at Lyon. Vieira will be hoping that he's replaced the creative excellence of Andros Townsend with youngster Michael Olise, who has joined for around about £8 million from Reading. The French youth international only missed 2 league games last season, scoring 7 and assisting 12 in 44 matches. At just 19 years old, this guy looks like an exciting signing for Palace fans. And the final signing so far is Conor Gallagher on a season-long loan from Chelsea. He spent last season on loan at West Brom, playing 30 games for them and scoring and assisting 2 goals from centre midfield. And if there's anybody that's going to know if a centre midfielder is any good, I'd put Patrick Vieira quite near the top of that list. There could still be more incomings to South London, with Arsenal forward Reece Nelson linked to a loan move, as well as Watford midfielder Will Hughes linked to a permanent move. You've got to imagine Vieira's links to Arsenal could help with the Reece Nelson deal or any other future signing that he wants to make from Arsenal as well. You'd think that would be the case. In 14th, we're going with Southampton. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl's side are going to be pretty much where they ended last season at the end of this season, just one position higher. They obviously finished 15th last year. With Danny Ings gone to Aston Villa for £31 million, they need to invest that money back into a suitable replacement in the goal-scoring area of the pitch. There have been rumours of Tammy Abraham being that replacement, but that remains to be seen, as Arsenal and West Ham are also interested in him. In terms of signings they've already made, Romain Perraud has been signed for £10.8 million from Stade Brest, probably as a replacement for Ryan Bertrand, who's gone on a free transfer to Leicester. Perraud managed 7 assists from left-back in League 1 last season, and Southampton will be hoping for the same at St Mary's. Chelsea under-23s have been targeted for the signing of Valentino Livramento for $5 and a bit million, but I imagine he's only 18 and he's got no first-team experience. That this is probably just more of a signing for the future. He's probably going to just go straight out on loan somewhere like a League 1 team or Championship team. And the only other incoming is the return of Theo Walcott to the South Coast club on a free transfer from Everton. Now, as well as Danny Ings' departure, Saints fans could soon be bidding farewell to James Ward-Prowse, who's already been the subject of a £25 million bid from newly minted Aston Villa. Got that Grealish money now. This bid was immediately rejected, but whether Southampton will be able to keep potential suitors at bay for long is another question. In 13th, I've got Brighton. I think this could be a decent season for Graham Potter and the gang. If they can reinvest the £52 million from the sale of Ben White wisely, then they should have no problem in comfortably finishing above my 13th place prediction. Now, Brighton have made a couple of signings so far this window, with Zambian centre midfielder Enoch Mwepu arriving for £20.7 million from Red Bull Salzburg, and Dutch goalkeeper Kjell Scherpen making his way from Ajax for £4.5 million. Mwepu only missed 3 league games for Salzburg last campaign and managed 5 goals and 2 assists in 29 games. Scherpen made a handful of appearances for Ajax, so I assume he's just been brought in to replace Matthew Ryan as a backup option for Brighton. There has been one other major departure other than that of White. Alireza Jahanbakhsh has left for Feyenoord for £990,000 after not doing too well last season. He just got 2 goals and 2 assists from 25 games in all competitions for the Seagulls. Brighton have been linked to Liverpool defender Nat Phillips as a possible replacement for Ben White. He's expected to cost around £15 million, but that was earlier in the summer and nothing's really been heard since. Hudson Edouard of Celtic is also a target, with the aim of trying to get him for around £20 million. But again, that was a bit earlier in the summer and just been deadly quiet, nothing happening. In 12th, I've got Wolves. Now, as we know, Wolves love all things Portuguese, and that continues this season with the hiring of Portuguese former Benfica manager Bruno Lage, replacing Nuno Espirito Santo as he's gone off to pastures new at Spurs. Now, I think Wolves are going to be in a similar position to Crystal Palace with having a new manager who wants to build his own team, so can see them finishing around about the same as last year when they finished 13th. Wolves have already made quite a start in their transfers with 5 new players coming in. Ryan Ait-Nouri has had his loan spell turned into a permanent move, with Wolves paying SCO Angers just about £10 million for his services after impressing at left-back last season. Portuguese goalkeeper Jose Sá has been signed from Olympiacos for a fee of £7 million as a direct replacement for Rui Patricio, who's joined Roma for just over £10 million. Sá managed 19 clean sheets in 37 games in all competitions for Olympiacos last season, including one against Marseille in a 1-0 victory in the Champions League group stage. Wolves have also signed young Colombian centre-back Yerson Mosquera from Atlético Nacional for £4.5 million and Hungarian Bendigos Bola from Fehervar for £1.8 million. Eloni has also been signed in the form of Francisco Trincao from Barcelona. The Portuguese right-winger played 42 times for the Spanish Giants last season, scoring 3 and assisting 2 in all competitions. And that might not be it. Wolves may not be fully done with their transfer business. There's rumblings of an interest in 27-year-old Celta Vigo defensive midfielder OK Yokuslu, who could be available for just £5 million. In 11th, I've got Leeds United. Marcelo Bielsa proved a lot of people wrong last season when they said his Leeds side had to change their style of play in order to survive in the Premier League, finishing the season in 9th. I think this season is going to be one of consolidating their place in the league. Now, Bielsa has made 3 signings so far, with Dominican left-back Junior Firpo being the most expensive of these, coming in for £13.5 million from Barcelona, more than likely as a replacement for the outgoing Ezgian Alioski, who was left on a free transfer to Saudi side Ali. Firpo didn't get much game time in Spain last year, but he still managed to score 1 and assist 1 in 7 La Liga matches for Barcelona. Jack Harrison has been permanently signed from Manchester City for £11.5 million after spending a few seasons on loan at Elland Road. And then their final signing is a young Norwegian goalkeeper, Christopher Claesson, signed for just about £2 million from Vålerenga. I don't think he'll have been bought in to go straight into the first team given his experience, so he's probably more, again, one for the future, maybe a backup goalkeeper. Leeds have had just the one other major departure, which was Pablo Hernandez leaving on a free transfer to CD Castellón. He made 16 appearances in the Premier League last season, but he didn't play the full 90 in any of them, and he's getting on a bit. He's about 36 years old, so get rid, which is what they've done. And it looks like Leeds' transfer business could be done already unless they want to meet Hibernian's £5 million asking price for young Scottish left-back Josh Doig, who has been compared to Kieran Tierney by some. In 10th place, I've got Aston Villa. So after a much improved season from their first one back in the top tier, I think they'll show a slight improvement again despite the loss of their key player. And as you're all probably aware, Jack Grealish has left Aston Villa to go to Manchester City for £105 million. As much as this is a negative because of the loss of such a quality player, Villa do seem to be investing the money well. They've already made 3 marquee signings this window, with Emiliano Buendia arriving from Norwich, Danny Ings joining from Southampton, and Leon Bailey arriving from Bayer Leverkusen. That's 3 players for less than what they sold Grealish for. Additionally, Ashley Young has made a return to his former club on a free from Inter, and Axel Tuanzebe has joined on a season-long loan deal from Young's former club Manchester United. There have been a couple of other notable departures from Villa Park, with Neil Taylor and Ahmed El Mohammadi leaving on free transfers, but they're not going to be missed as much as Jack Grealish is. There's also rumours of a few more possible signings for Villa too. Most of them I've already discussed in this video. Ward-Prowse from Southampton, Todd Cantwell from Norwich. There have also been rumblings of a possible deal to sign Tammy Abraham from Chelsea too, but a bit of £40 million might be needed to seal that particular deal. As far as any other departures are concerned, Villa are apparently willing to sell Anwar El Ghazi if their valuation of £15 million is met. Roma are apparently interested in him. We're into the top 10 now. So in 9th place, we have West Ham United. David Moyes' side exceeded all expectations last term with a 6th place Premier League finish, but I think the crutch of playing Europa League football is going to stop them from repeating that feat this time out. They've been pretty quiet in the transfer market so far too, with just the one permanent signing made in the form of experienced centre-back Craig Dawson arriving for £2 million from Premier League new boys Watford. They've signed goalkeeper Alphonse Areola on loan from PSG for a loan fee of £1.8 million. But I would expect more if they want to challenge on multiple fronts this season. There hasn't been much as far as departures are concerned either, with Felipe Anderson leaving for £2.7 million to go to Lazio after spending last season on loan at Porto, and Fabian Balbueno joining Dynamo Moscow on a free transfer after only making 14 appearances at the start of last season for the Hammers. There isn't much in the form of rumours surrounding West Ham either, but one possible incoming is Serbian centre-back Nikola Milenkovic from Fiorentina, who could be of interest to West Ham after their move for Chelsea's Kurt Zouma broke down. In 8th place, I've got Tottenham. As I've said for the other teams with new managers, I think this will be a season of rebuilding for Spurs, with their new manager Nuno Espirito Santo taking charge, and the distinct possibility of their star player Harry Kane leaving for Manchester City. Nuno's wasted no time bringing in his own players to Spurs, with $40 million spent on Atlanta defender Christian Romero, $22.5 million paid for left winger Brian Gil from Sevilla, and Romero's former teammate from Atlanta, Pierluigi Golini, brought in on a season-long loan deal with an option to make it permanent for the goalkeeper. Departing the club so far, we've had Juan Foyth signed for Europa League winners Villarreal for £13.5 million after spending last season on loan there. Toby Alderweireld has left for Qatari side Al Duhail for £11.7 million. Joe Hart's moved north of the ball at the Celtic for around £1 million. And as previously mentioned, Danny Rose has moved on a free to Watford. Eric Lamela has signed for Sevilla on a free transfer, and Paulo Gazzaniga has signed for newly relegated Fulham in the Championship on a free transfer. This is, of course, as well as the departures of Gareth Bale and Carlos Vinicius after their loan deals expired. Spurs have also been linked with a few other players, namely Sampdoria's left winger Mikel Damsgaard and PSV's right winger Noni Madueke. Fiorentina's Serbian striker Dusan Vlahovic has also been linked with Tottenham, but they need to pay around £50 million for the privilege of signing him to partner Harry Kane up front. That is, if Harry Kane is still a Spurs player by then, as Manchester City are heavily interested in the England striker and are willing to pay up to £130 million for him. It had previously been rumoured that they may even offer £100 million plus a player such as Sterling or Jesus. I think this one's going to rumble on for quite a while this month. It will probably end up with Kane signing for City, because it generally does when a player's come out to say that he wants to leave, and especially when there's a team like City who's going to give Spurs £130 million for him. Neither party can say no to that. In 7th place, we have Arsenal. So last season was obviously one to forget for Arsenal fans, finishing 8th in the league and missing out on European football for the first time since 1994. They will definitely be hoping for better this year, but I think they might only be good enough for a Europa Conference League qualification place. I've predicted them to finish one place better than they did last season, but I think it's going to be very close in the end, from 5th down to 8th. If they manage to sign James Maddison, I could see them pushing more for the final Champions League place, but as their squad currently stands, I think they'll finish 7th. Dani Ceballos and Martin Odegaard's loans have come to an end. There were hints earlier in the summer that Odegaard might return, either on another loan or permanently, but an injury to Real Madrid's Toni Kroos may have put a stop to that for the time being. Arsenal have splashed £52 million on young English defender Ben White from Brighton. He was almost ever present in the league last season, but questions remain over whether he's going to be able to make a jump to such a bigger club as Arsenal are compared to Brighton. 21-year-old Albert Sambi Lokonga has been brought in from Anderlecht for just about £16 million. He can play in number 6 role just in front of the defence or as a box-to-box midfielder. He managed 3 goals and 2 assists in the Belgian league last season. Another youngster brought in is Nuno Tavares from Benfica. They paid £7 million for the attacking left-back, who spent a little bit of last season staving off ankle and hip injuries and struggled really to make it off Benfica's bench. Now, the Gunners have been linked with several central midfielders, including Ruben Neves from Wolves, Houssem Aouar from Lyon, Italy's Euro standout Locatelli from Sassuolo, and Denis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach. But the signing of Lokonga has probably put the chance of any of these other transfers happening to bed. Sheffield United goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale has also been linked to Arsenal, with the London club having already had a couple of bids rejected. Ramsdale did play in Sheffield United's opening game this season against Birmingham on Saturday, but he could still end up at the Emirates. Arsenal are also, as I previously mentioned, heavily interested in Leicester's James Maddison, with the player rumoured to also be interested in joining them, despite the fact that Leicester finished above the Gunners last season. He could be the ideal replacement for Odegaard if he's no longer available. And again, like with the Harry Kane one, I think this could rumble on for a bit longer, possibly until deadline day itself. But with Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe and Saka, Arsenal do have a solid attack. They could definitely do it with another attacking midfielder to help Smith Rowe out, but they'll be hoping the 2 defensive reinforcements of White and Tavares can strengthen the weakest part of their team. In 6th place, I've gone with Everton. With Liverpool legend Rafa Benitez now in charge of the blue side of Merseyside, I think success could be headed to Goodison sooner rather than later. This 6th place finish I predicted is just the start of it. With 3 very astute signings already made in the form of Demarai Gray from Bayer Leverkusen, Andros Townsend on a free from Crystal Palace, and Asmir Begovic on a free transfer from Bournemouth, things have made a promising start. Demarai Gray showed glimpses of quality at Leicester, and Rafa will be hoping for a more consistent approach from the 25-year-old. Townsend and Begovic, on the other hand, are both very experienced Premier League players and will add an extra bit of depth to the squad. Benitez has also made it a priority to get rid of some of the deadwood around the club, with Yannick Bolasie, Mohamed Besic, Theo Walcott and Josh King all leaving for pastures new. Provided Everton can keep hold of Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, I think they'll be up there in terms of challenging, possibly even for the final Champions League place this season. In 5th place, I've got Leicester. Now, this season got off to the perfect start this past Saturday with a victory in the Community Shield against defending league champions Manchester City. And Brendan Rodgers will be confident that his side can challenge for the Champions League places once again this season. But I've got them just missing out again in 5th. Now, Rodgers has signed a new striker from Red Bull Salzburg to give Jamie Vardy a hand with getting the goals. And Patson Daka definitely knows how to get goals. He scored 34 in 42 games in all competitions last season. He's joined them for a fee of around £27 million. Now, that sounds like a bit of a bargain in today's day and age in terms of transfer fees, especially considering he scored so many goals. I recognise that's just the Austrian Bundesliga, but still, a lot of goals to score. Defensive midfielder Boubakary Soumare has also joined for £18 million from French champions Lille. The 22-year-old played 32 times in Lille's league campaign last time out and was a key part of them winning the title. And as mentioned in the Southampton section of this preview, left-back Ryan Bertrand has joined the Foxes on a free transfer. As far as departures go, Christian Fuchs, Matty James and Wes Morgan have all left on free transfers, and Cengiz Under's loan from Roma has ended. Now, Leicester have been linked with former Liverpool defender Ozan Kabak after Liverpool rejected the chance to sign him at a reduced price, but I'm not sure they'll really go for him. I wouldn't go for him after watching him play for Liverpool, but that's just me. As previously mentioned, Hamza Chowdhury and James Maddison have been linked with moves away from the King Power Stadium, with Arsenal and Newcastle interested. I don't think Chowdhury will be much of a miss, but Maddison leaving could definitely affect Leicester's chances this season. He is one of their key players. Now we're in the top 4 Champions League qualification places, and in 4th place I have got Manchester United. Now the top 4 is going to be a lot closer this season, I think, with everyone having strengthened and certain players returning from long-term injuries. Van Dijk. Sorry, really bad cough. So I think it'll be close, but United will end up taking the final Champions League spot. Just the 2 signings so far for United, with Jadon Sancho finally joining from Dortmund for around £76 million. Solskjaer will be delighted to finally have the skillful winger on his books, and we'll hope he can repeat the form he had in Germany, which got him this move in the first place. The other signing is a backup goalkeeper, more than likely to fill the homegrown quota. It's Tom Heaton on a free transfer from Aston Villa. And there haven't really been any major departures so far from Old Trafford, just a few youngsters heading out on loan. So Tahith Chong has gone to Birmingham, Facundo Pellistri has gone to Alaves, and Axel Tuanzebe has joined Aston Villa. United have been linked with a move for Kieran Trippier, who is wanting to return to England. He wants to actually move to Manchester, apparently, but it's expected for some reason, I couldn't find out why, that this might not happen until closer to the end of the transfer window. Maybe he's already bought the house and he can't move in until the end of the window. I don't know, just a guess. Centre midfielder Saul Niguez has long been linked with United, but nothing concrete has been agreed with him yet. In terms of possible departures, Paul Pogba has been linked with a £45 million move to PSG, but that would just be terrible business for Manchester United to make such a loss on him. In 3rd place, in a repeat of last season, I've got Liverpool finishing in 3rd. After somehow managing to not only get in the Champions League places, but also to finish 3rd last season, I'm saying it again, I've said it 3 times now, 3rd, I expect Liverpool to have a better campaign this year, challenging with City, Chelsea and United for the league title, but just coming up short. The return of Van Dijk and Joe Gomez from injury will be a huge source of relief for us Liverpool fans ahead of the new season. Now, Klopp has so far only made 1 signing. Centre-back Ibrahima Konate joining for around £36 million to just reinforce the defensive options a little bit, to make sure that we don't face the same problems we faced last season with that injury disaster where we had to play youth players in defence and centre midfielders in defence, and it just really screwed up our season. Now, there have been a few departures from the club, with Harry Wilson finally deciding to call it a day on his Liverpool career. I'm not sure how I feel about this. He's a very good player, and I've literally just watched him play for Fulham, and he almost scored a worldie of a volley and then scored a pretty decent goal. But he's joined Fulham for £12 million. Hopefully he'll be back in the Premier League soon, maybe with Fulham, and then get a bigger move, because he deserves to be at a top club. Taiwo Awoniyi has also left for Union Berlin. I don't think he ever played. I think there was some problem with his work permit. So he was never able to play for us. So he's gone. Marco Grujic has joined Benfica on loan. I think there's an option to buy there as well. And Ozan Kabak's loan from Schalke has ended with that option to buy not activated. But the biggest departure which we'd known about for some time, was that of good old Gini Wijnaldum. He's left on a free transfer, he's signed for PSG. All the best to him. He's a legend. Them goals in the game against Barcelona, just amazing. Now, Liverpool had been linked with Saul Niguez earlier in the summer, but interest in him appears to have cooled a bit. I assume they're just going to try to bring in Curtis Jones a bit more this season, as they have got quite a few options in centre midfield. And I think Saul was quite a similar player to Thiago. Rumoured departures include Ben Davies, who was signed as an emergency backup from Preston North End in January. God knows why. I don't know why we signed him. He didn't even play for us, as far as I'm aware. Sheffield United are interested, and apparently they were interested in him in January as well, but we obviously got there first. And when you're looking at two deals, and one says Sheffield United and one says Liverpool, I think I know which one I would decide. The other rumoured departure is that of Nat Phillips, who, as I mentioned previously, he's caught the eye of Graham Potter in Brighton, and he could be available for around £15 million. I'd be quite sad to see him go, to be honest. He became somewhat of a cult hero last season. Just the fact that he had to be just shoved in there. He barely played any first-team football. Well, he'd not really played any first-team football in the Premier League, and he did a very good job. Now, we've got two teams left. I'm not going to tell you who they are. You probably already know who they are. But can you guess who I've got in second? Now, if you said Manchester City, you'd be wrong. I've got Chelsea in second. I've got a feeling that this season is going to be a good one for Chelsea. I think they're going to push on with Thomas Tuchel in charge, adding the likely signing of Romelu Lukaku and the slight possibility of Lionel Messi, and Chelsea become an even more frightening prospect. They're yet to make a confirmed move in this transfer window, only signing 29-year-old English goalkeeper Marcus Bettinelli from Fulham on a free transfer, but have bid farewell to a few players. Fikayo Tomori has joined AC Milan for around £26 million. Victor Moses has signed with Spartak Moscow for £4.5 million. Olivier Giroud has left for absolute pennies to go to AC Milan for just $900k. Billy Gilmore has been sent out on loan to newly promoted Norwich, and Marco van Ginkel, Danilo Pantic, Izzy Brown, Willy Caballero and Jamal Blackman have all left on free transfers. As well as apparently being close to signing Romelu Lukaku for around £100 million and attempting discussions with Lionel Messi's representatives regarding a move to Stamford Bridge for him, Chelsea have been rumoured to be in talks with Sevilla regarding their French centre-back Jules Koundé. However, they would have to pay in excess of £55 million for his services, and with the amount they're about to pay for Lukaku and any possible wages for Messi, I can't see how that would be possible unless they do the old Football Manager trick of lots of monthly instalments. Departure-wise, as I've already mentioned, Tammy Abraham is on his way out after falling down the pecking order since Thomas Tuchel took charge, with Southampton and Aston Villa possible destinations for him. Abdul Babarahman is a target of Greek sides Olympiakos and PAOK Thessaloniki after being labelled as not needed at Stamford Bridge. And then finally, we have top of the table. Surprise, surprise, I've gone for the obvious one. It's Manchester City. They're clearly the best team in the league on paper, and as long as they don't have some form of injury disaster, I think that they'll win the league again this year. But I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think they're going to run away with it. I think there's going to be points, just 1 or 2 points in it. The marquee signing of the summer so far is, of course, Jack Grealish from Aston Villa for £105 million, but with rumours of their interest in Harry Kane still bubbling away, Grealish may not remain the highest fee they pay this summer, with talks of a fee of around £160 million being demanded by Spurs chairman Daniel Levy. The final sum is probably more likely to be around the £130 million mark, but nothing has been confirmed as of yet. In terms of departures from the Etihad, Angelino has left for about £16 million to go to Red Bull Leipzig. Jack Harrison has finally confirmed a permanent deal with Leeds for £11.5 million, as I mentioned earlier. Lucas Nemecha has joined VfL Wolfsburg for £7.2 million. I had no idea who this guy was. And Sergio Aguero and Eric Garcia have both joined Barcelona on free transfers, although it has been rumoured that Aguero, he's not best pleased with his decision. Now that's been confirmed that one of his close friends, Lionel Messi, who he was so much looking forward to playing with for the first time at club level, will no longer be playing at the new camp next season. Other than Kane and Messi, there aren't any other signing suggestions that I've seen for Manchester City. And that wraps up the preview and the predictions. If you know of any other rumoured transfers for any of the Premier League clubs, and as I said earlier, if you want to let me know your predicted league tables in the comment section down below, please do so, and I'll take a look at them. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to get all my content when it comes out, hit the notification bell to stay notified, and I'll see you soon for some match predictions for game week 1 and fantasy football for game week 1. Yeah, I'm doing that this season. Keep an eye out. I'll see you soon.